We are heading into talking about human design. There's many different ways that we can describe human design and what it helps us do or experience. So let's just start our conversation talking about what is human design. Human design is a reminder of who we are energetically when we were born. This is us differentiated uniquely. You know, everybody's different, no one's the same. And this is you, very uniquely shown here. But what's most important about human design is that, like I said, it brings you back to who you were when you were born, before you were conditioned by society. So, what do I even mean by that? When we're born into a race, a gender, maybe a religion, a culture, and we're expected to adhere to those cultural expectancies. We change ourselves as soon as we're born to fit into what our authoritative figures want from us. As soon as we're born. Um, we grow up and we leave the house and we think that we're free, and we're actually not, because we have to follow the laws of life. The laws of life, they change us. Maybe trauma changes us. Maybe that person over there, I see that they're doing it better than me, so I choose that I'm going to change myself to be like that person, because maybe, just maybe, if I be like them, I'll be just as good as them. So these are all different reasons why we change ourselves. Our bosses expect us to be certain people. Maybe we humiliate ourselves in front of our friends, so we vow to ourselves that we're never going to do that thing again, even though we love doing it. So we easily get lost in who we are. We forget who we are. And human design helps us remind us of who we are. And how does that happen? Human design, with all of this color up here, we can, here, I'm going to use my mouse right now. With all of this definition in here, all of these colors, we call it definition in human design. All of this color here, this is you. And why do we want to know that? We want to know that so that you as a being can understand how you say your yes and no for your energy, not what your authoritative figures expect from you, not what society expects from you. But this energy, this chart here, allows us to understand our choice mechanism for who we are as a person. When I say choice mechanism, that's a layman's term of our jargon. So your choice mechanism is your strategy and authority. Your strategy and authority is how you say your yes and no. So whether I'm talking to my bestie here, or it's someone that is watching this experience right now, your choice mechanism is your inner authority and your strategy. So strategy and authority. Why would we even want to know this? So we understand our strategy and authority so that we can start making decisions based on who we are, what we need in life, and what our what our body needs. But what's most important about saying our yes and no is that every chance that you have a chance to say yes and no, you are having the chance for your purpose to flow through you or not. What? Just by saying your yes and no, you can have your purpose flow through you? Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're saying here. So if my bestie here uses her strategy and authority and follows that yes and no when they come up. So if her body said yes, then she follows that yes. Or if her body says no and she follows that no, then she will automatically be allowing her purpose to flow through her. So this is just brain candy at this particular moment, what we're going through at this particular moment. We will teach you how to say your yes and no based on who you are as a person so that you can allow your purpose to flow through you. But we have some pretty flashy and juicy brain candy dangling in front of us right now, so let's address it. What is your purpose? Your incarnation cross is your purpose. Your incarnation cross is your purpose. So you are the right angle cross of rulership, 26, 45, 47, 22. If a person ever wants to Google their brain candy on this, you're more than welcome to. It's not what we review. In a quick overview, there's actually an incarnation cross reading. So our incarnation cross, the right angle cross of rulership, if you're going to Google this, make sure you put in right angle and make sure that you put in these numbers exactly how they are put in here, because there are different variations of each cross and we want to make sure that we're talking about your specific one. But honestly, guys, when I read my incarnation cross, I wasn't living my true self at that particular moment. I was just moving into my true self during that part of my life. So when I read my incarnation cross, I didn't recognize it. I was like, that's not me. What are you even talking about? So it's mostly brain candy, because the real way to achieve your purpose is to simply allow your yes and no to flow through you and following that yes or no. When we're talking about human design, I need you to know that the only thing that you need to know about your human design is your yes and no. Truly, that's all you need to know about your human design. But there's so much stuff that we could talk about regarding who you are as a person that we could talk 18 days about your chart and how it influences others and how others influence you. What we're doing here is a quick overview. So I'm going to take some time right now and say, I'm actually not a professional analyst. I'm probably 5 months away from being a professional analyst at this point when this recording is happening. The reason why I say that is because this experience here is not like a professional foundational reading. If you are ever approached by the school and they ask you, have you ever had a professional reading? The answer is no. This is not a professional reading. This is an overview. We're jumping through the most important pieces of brain candy, plus how you say your yes and no. All right. Let's go over some brain candy first, because it's really going to help us understand how you can say your yes and no. The first piece of brain candy, we are officially starting learning about you more as an individual instead of just saying this generic information. We're going to start some brain candy, and I'm going to let you know when we stop that brain candy too, so that you can intently shift your gears in your brains, or purposely shift your the way that you're listening, so that you can really understand how you say your yes and no. So I will tell you when we're shifting gears. All right, so this is just a brain candy part. And this is just getting to know you a little bit more deeply because of your human design chart. So once again, it's this brain candy. This stuff actually doesn't matter. But there's just a lot of stuff standing in front of us or showing in front of us that's might be distracting us. So let's talk about it. Bestie, you are a generator. Once again, it's jargon. It's just important for you to know that you're a generator. And what's interesting to know about you here, we're just going to skip the choice mechanism here. We'll go back to that eventually. You are a triple split definition, my love. Now, the reason why I bring this up, we usually don't bring it up in a basic overview because it's not really important, in my opinion, in a basic overview. But since we're talking here, I want to talk about it. Let's talk about your triple split definition. So, the colored parts in your chart, let's just go back. Let's get some brain candy about even further away from what a triple split is. Let's go even more foundational. The colored parts in your chart are you. The white parts in your chart are not you. So our body, our brain, that is the colored parts in our chart. The white parts in our chart are not us, like I just said. So I just want to say that the white parts in your chart, everybody has white in their chart. There's no way a person can have full defined colors. So in our human design world, the colors, we just call them definition. So all of the colors called definition. The white stuff is called openness. So what's interesting is that the definition, this is who we are from the time we're born until the time we leave this earth. And we can rely on this. What's interesting is that the brain likes to get involved and say that there's a problem, but there's no problem because you're perfect the way you are. The brain sees this openness or this white part inside your chart, and the brain is what thinks that something's broken, but it isn't, right? So your brain tries to go into those white spots into your chart and try to act as if you do have this definition. So when the brain tries to be like, yo, this is actually me, this is actually me, that's called the not self. When we try to act as if we have definition where we don't. Now, just let me regather my thoughts for a second. The brain, like I said, likes to think that the openness is a problem. The brain also likes to think, oh, well, why would I want to be all this definition in my chart? That's boring. Ugh, I'm so boring. The things that I am are so boring. Let's be something I'm not. That's what the brain thinks. And that's where some of the not self experiences come from as well. We're talking about the centers here. You have a fixed way of understanding what's worth intellectually going over or not. You know what's worth digging into. You have a very abstract mind. You have a fixed way of conceptualizing. What's interesting is that only 30% of the world have their head defined, and I don't have my head defined. Mine's wide open. So I bet I feel some of the mental pressure when you're around, but I never felt it in a bad way. Maybe I needed your abstract mind in order to make me feel more complete. I don't know. But I never felt pressure from your mind. So you have a fixed way of I can hear Matey giggling in the background. I'm just trying to think of the proper word here. I know what's interesting or not. I have a fixed way of conceptualizing or knowing. I have a fixed way of expressing my emotions. I have a fixed way of accessing my willpower. I have a fixed way of accessing knowing when enough's enough. I have a fixed way of understanding what's healthy for me or not. And I have a fixed way of identifying with love, direction, and identity in life. So these are the fixed ways that your energy is working, which is very nice to know. Now, because you are a triple split definition, we're going to talk about that in a second. I need that to like roll through my brain for another moment before I start talking about it. Okay, so we have some open centers here that are not defined. Like I said, you're not broken. This is perfect for who you are as a person and what you need in order to fulfill your purpose. So you don't have a fixed way of identifying with timing or adrenaline, and you have no fixed way of externalizing or initiating the things that you want to initiate. Interesting. So, this is my bestie, and my bestie never drank coffee her whole life. And once I actually understood human design, I asked my bestie, you know, do you drink coffee? No. Do you drink it ever? No. You shouldn't drink coffee. Why? Because this is actually the place where I'm actually getting way too deep into the human design overview at the moment. Um, if she's running on nothing, like if she's running on fumes because she's just going, her body might become addicted to the stimulant. Um, to keep her going. So, um, my girlfriend loves coffee now. She loves it. So she has no fixed way of understanding timing. So what's interesting is that maybe people in life, okay, this is a not self-expression from outsiders looking into my bestie. Maybe people outside looking into her, that, right, like I said, not self-expression, they think she's lazy. They think she's a procrastinator. Why? Because she has her own fixed timing. My girl's going to get her stuff done when she responds to getting stuff done, and that's it. A not self-expression of this for her feeling is, I'm going to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, finishing everything that I need to finish just to get things done, only to realize that my to-do list is still 80 feet long. So, people might have spent their life trying to pressurize her to get things done. Maybe she felt as if she couldn't move because she was so paralyzed by the things that she needed to get done. Or maybe she's moving so quick that she doesn't even understand how quickly she's moving. So what's interesting regarding this energy is that I don't call you a procrastinator. I call you a person understanding your own timing. You're going to get it done when you need to get it done. I don't say that you're a procrastinator because your energy is just gathering the proper timing. So right here, bestie, you are gathering the proper timing to understand when it does need to get done. So you are waiting and waiting for the proper clarity. And then when you finally do decide to get it done, it gets done quick, right? So, like I said, I don't think it's procrastinating. It's you gaining the amount of energy needed in order to get that task done. So I like to tell people when I do meditations and stuff, if your to-do list isn't done yet, it's just not meant to get done yet. Stop trying to pressurize yourself with these negative words of self-deprecation of like, oh, you should be better, you could be better, you should move faster, you have to go faster. So, the not self here, like I said, what is the not self? The not self is you not listening to your body. So the not self feeling is, I'm just going to keep on going and get my to-do list done. I'm just going to keep on going. The not self-expression of this is initializing things when not needing to be initialized, initializing things when not responding to initializing them. I'll explain that a little bit later. Or trying to be seen or not. So, in my opinion, let's talk about our guy friend who wears neon orange. In my opinion, that's a not self-expression of wanting to be seen. His personality is big enough that he didn't need to wear neon orange, So my not self-expression of this, because I have this wide open too, is that when I was in high school, I used to giggle so much to the point where things were no longer funny and I'd keep on giggling, and that was not self-expression. And then the opposite of that is, when you guys met me when I was wearing boy clothes. That was my I didn't want to be seen expression of myself. Um, the only reason why I talked about the whole initializing thing, we'll actually get back to it later. But let's just talk about no, let's use this later when we're more into understanding your strategy and authority. We'll talk about this more later. But yeah, you are a triple split. And now we're going to move into some more different brain candy. You are a triple split. What does that even mean? Check out this definition. This definition is not attached to this definition. And this definition is not attached to this definition. It is split 3 different ways. So that actually means something in the human design energy world. But the only thing that I really want to comment about it right now is the fact that because you're a triple split, think about how long I just took for me to explain where those energy triple splits are. Think about you receiving energy and your energy needing time to process it. Your energy has to process its information in 3 different parts inside your body, and they're all not connected, so it's going to take a little bit longer than a person who wouldn't have a triple split definition to possibly make those decisions. So what I'm saying here is that with your triple split definition, we're starting to talk about how you are not an instantaneous person. You shouldn't act on things instantaneously. And that's part 1 of where it comes from inside your chart. I want to move into a different piece of brain candy. I just want to tell you how unique and differentiated you are and why we could talk about you for 18 days. We see here that we have the sun, earth, moon, nodes, and all the way down to the last planet here. Each one has its own powerful energetic signature that it throws out to the world. So just because your Pluto has a 28.5, if your Pluto was a 28.5, if that 28.5 was up here in your sun, it would mean something completely different. So, each experience have 1,080 ways of experiencing that variation. 1,080. So, 26 ways of, 1,080 to exponential 26. That's how unique you are. It's just so interesting how unique you are and how much information you can find out about yourself. Like what you see in the world, who you hang out with in the world. Oh my God, it just gets so deep and it's so awesome. And I keep on looking back at all of our charts. We have a 3 Besty group combo going on, and I try to go back all the time to see like what's really pulling us together. What is the point of human design? The point of human design, what we have on screen here, is to understand your unique energy so that you can understand how you make proper choices for yourself. And then once you start making proper choices for yourself, you are allowing your purpose to flow through you. And once again, your purpose is your incarnation cross. And it happens to be the right angle cross of rulership, 26, 45, 47, 22. Now, we've been talking about how we were going to switch gears so that you could intellectually understand when you should really be listening. And that's about to change right now. We're switching gears. We are talking to my bestie here. And we are going to be talking about their choice mechanism, their strategy and authority, their yes and no. In the human design world, we call that in our human design world, we call that strategy and authority. Our yes and no, our choice mechanism, we call that strategy and authority. So your strategy and authority, your yes and no choice mechanism, This is how you allow your purpose to flow through you. Understanding your yes and no. So let's get to it. All right, let's start by saying that you have a two-part choice mechanism, Bestie. We have a two-part choice mechanism, and let me show you. Because you are a generator, you are here to respond. The response comes from this little red square here, this little defined red center. We have your second part here, your inner authority, which is your solar plexus, which is the brown triangle here on the right. Now, let's get to it. Let's address the elephant in the room, the emotional solar plexus. Just because it says emotional, it doesn't actually mean that your emotions are all over the place. No. Earlier, we agreed that you have a fixed way of expressing your emotions. So, why does it say emotional? I don't know, to trick us all. But you actually have a fixed way of expressing your emotions. And this is a solar plexus. So your response comes from here, and your inner authority comes from here. So it's a two-part mechanism. So that's why we have to explain this in two parts. We were reviewing the two-part mechanism as to what it is required for you to make a decision, and this two-part is your response from the red and your solar plexus here, your strategy and authority, your yes and no. We are going to be talking about what a response is first. What does the strategy mean to respond? Let's talk about that. Firstly, I just want to say that 70% of the world are in our shoes. And when I say our, I am a generator too, here to respond. 70% of the world is here to respond. Let's think about that for a second. Our authoritative figures, company brands, tell us that we need to manifest our life and just do it. Where only 7% of the world have the energy to be doing what is asked, just do it. And only half of them can do it instantaneously if they choose to in the moment. Anyway, so 70% of the world is conditioned to be something that they're not. So generators, we are conditioned to be manifestors. Manifest your dreams. Intend. You can manifest anything. So, we feel the pressure to manifest in our life, yet we don't have the direct access to manifest, to initiate things instantaneously. So you are here to respond. What does that mean? You are here to respond with these caveman guttural kind of sounds. So this is what a response means. Uh-huh. Uh-uh. Or and it's funny because you're my bestie and I've definitely seen you in the position of doing and that means like, what you doing? Or I don't know, or it's just not the proper timing. So a response is truly like those baby gut sounds that we hear. If a baby likes something, they're like, ooh. When a baby doesn't like something, they're like, eh. Right? They push it away. They don't like it. They don't want it. So it's really talking about those caveman sounds, those pure sounds that come from a baby. That is a part of your choice mechanism. Now, I know that growing up, I was deconditioned away from these guttural caveman sounds because society said, hey, saying uh-huh is not correct. You need to say yes. Saying is not correct in society. You need to say no. No. You can't say nah either. You have to say no. So 70% of the world has this chance of being conditioned away from these guttural responses that they were gifted with because society says that their caveman sounds aren't correct. It's cute in a baby, but start saying words when you can start talking, you know? So I invite you back into understanding those guttural sounds. Uh-huh, uh-uh, and oh. Now, what's interesting about a response, it's not information coming from your head asking yourself a question. So it's like, hey, self, I want to do this. And you're trying to get that uh-huh and uh-uh to come of that response. No, that's not what we're talking about. Responses are usually external cues. So, you have a brand new babes and, you know, babes cries. Of course you're going to respond. How are you going to respond? Do you understand that different cries mean different things at this point already? So how are you going to respond? The baby is crying the way that she's hungry. So you respond in the means of going and getting her bottles ready. Letting her, you might respond to picking her up along the way as you quickly put the bottles together. What do you respond to do? So let's just say you're laying in bed. Your eyes pop open. Why? What did you respond to? You responded to your babe's crying. What do you respond to next? You definitely don't roll over, just because I know that that's who you are. You respond to getting out of bed. What do you respond to next? Well, let's just say it's winter, it's a little bit chilly. You respond to putting on your house coat next. And then you respond to them because the babes is just like slowly whining at the moment. You decide to go to the bottle first, so you respond that the babes is good enough at the moment for you to quickly start the bottle and then go pick her up instead of picking her up and then start the bottle. So, it's like, what do you respond to in that particular moment? These are all external cues, right? So external cues can literally be people asking you to go to the store. Hey, do you want to go to the store? And you're like, uh-uh. And that's been your response for a while because you don't want to go outside due to world news. We can also talk about like an internal type of response, so because we're in bed laying there and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you wake up. Why? What did you respond to? Oh my god, your bladder's full. You respond to getting out of bed because your body is like, I can't hold it any longer, and you go pee. So that's the type of internal mechanisms that I'm talking about when you respond. Your stomach gurgles because you're hungry. Maybe your sugars are off and you feel a little bit weird and you respond to, I know it's time that I got to do something about my sugars. Human design can, for a response mechanism, it's not talking about us asking ourselves our own question to respond to. No, it's more about cues. So your body was cued by your bladder or your stomach that you need to do something and you respond to doing it. The external cues are environmental, people, places, or things. So for instance, your cats poop and you don't want to eat the poop bubbles in the air all day, so you respond to instantaneously standing up and cleaning the cat litter when your cat uses its cat litter or its box. So that's, even though I live with 2 cats and my fiance, there's plenty for me to respond to. I respond to sometimes it being cold, so we responded to already turning on our heat for the season. We turn it off a few days because it's been warm, but because we literally live under shade, we've already turned on our heat for the season some days. So we've responded to doing that. It was an environmental cue, right? So that's what we're talking about regarding response. Your uh-huh and uh-uh. Those guttural sounds, those caveman sounds, those baby-like sounds that come straight from your gut. Uh-huh, uh-uh. So I could ask you the question right now, directly to you. I was just thinking about the junk food nights we used to eat. Hey, do you want a cookie right now? And that's me asking to you. Your body possibly had a response in this particular moment. Your body either said uh-huh or uh-uh. What did it say? So that was me asking you. When we are talking about your response, uh-huh, uh-uh, remember, that was part one of your choice mechanism, or your strategy and authority, how you say yes and no in life. And once again, once you start allowing your proper choices in life to flow through you, you are allowing your purpose to flow through you. And once again, this is your purpose. So your purpose is automatically fulfilled through you saying yes and no, following that uh-huh and uh-uh. We can hear my cutie cat outside. So, like I said, two-part mechanism. I know I say the word so a lot. I understand that. I'm sorry. Apparently that's my period or my comma. The two-part mechanism, the first part, you're here to respond. But the second part mechanism for you to understand how your energy works, Bestie, is your inner authority. And we've been talking about this from the beginning. Strategy and authority. So your inner authority, emotional solar plexus. So the emotional solar plexus, we were talking about how this is right here. Now, let's readdress the fact that it says emotional here. Just because it says emotional, it doesn't mean that you are emotional. You actually know, you have a fixed way of expressing your emotions. So that's just like an elephant in the room that we have to address, because it just confuses everybody. Your emotions aren't all over the place. You have a fixed way of expressing your emotions. The solar plexus, let's talk about it. How do we use your yes and no choice mechanism? How do we use your strategy and authority together? What is a solar plexus authority? Let's talk about it. 50% of the world have this as their authority. So think about it, chat. 50% of the world has this. So whether you know your chart or not, it's 50% chance that what I'm saying to you applies to you. Solar plexus means that you need to wait to get clarity before making a decision. Waiting to get clarity, we're going to explain that. And what does it mean? And how do we use it with our response mechanism? So our solar plexus, getting clarity. Remember, 50% of the world has this defined. I don't have this defined. You do. So I'm just going to be giving you examples based on what I know from what others have told me. So you're the ones who are going to educate me about this center, pretty much. Clarity. Clarity is, if you ever want to be 100% certain, I doubt that it would ever get there. If you are 70% clear, then you're pretty darn clear. You're getting some pretty good clarity. And that's a good time to make a choice. 70% clear, you're pretty darn clear. I mean, that's like what I'm told is like the maximum you'll ever be clear on something. I'm told. So what does clarity mean? Clarity means that you're making a decision with no emotions involved. And this is how I understand it the best way. So you're not excited. You're not frustrated. You're not angry. You're not super pumped. You're just neutral going into making the decision. So if you're a person who is excited, that's not a good time to make a decision. If you're a person who's frustrated, that's not a good time to make a decision. If you're a person who has the solar plexus defined, a lot of people say is that they make quick decisions and they regret what they've decided after they've done that decision. Getting clarity, what could this also mean? When we're talking about math, we have the up wave, we have the down wave. So let's explain it in a surfing experience. You're surfing, you're on the water, you catch a huge wave. It's super exciting. You're going up, but the thing is that the wave was so humongous that it brought you right down to the sand and you bottomed out and you got hurt and it was painful, right? So getting clarity is explained as, you riding the up wave and the down wave of whatever decision that you're about to make so that you can really see if you want to partake in that venture before you actually go out and do it. So that's why emotional clarity, like doing it without emotions involved, is possibly the best way to do it. Because if we're talking about the surfing, the emotional high and the emotional low, right? Not good times to make decisions. Now, the last way that I was described on what clarity is, let's just say you have 13 different doors to go through. You have 13 different choices of what has to happen or what could happen. Maybe you got clarity the most on door number 8. So we're saying that door number 8, it should be the one that you possibly choose because you get the most clarity on that one out of all of them, right? Which one is the most clear to you? Which one do you have the most clarity on? All right. There's no other way that I can describe that. So let's start working with it. We said that we would describe what solar plexus emotional inner authority meant. And we described what it is to respond. Now let us give you a description of an example here. I forgot to give an example. Let's just say that you've wanted a job your whole life, a particular position your whole life. Sorry, I just went into a whole different mindset there, like a different scenario. So let's just say that you've wanted a particular job your whole life, the perfect job, the perfect position, the ideal, whatever. And you applied for it and they called you, you went for the interview, they called you and they offered you the job. Of course you're super excited and you want the job. And of course you want to say yes right away. But I just told you that making a decision when you're excited or angry or frustrated, it isn't a good time to make a decision. And you need to get some emotional clarity on that. So you would then say, hey, recruiter, thank you so much for the offered position. Let me think about it over the weekend and I'll get back to you on Monday. I know. How terrifying is that? But the thing is that you need to get clarity on if this is what you want to do or not. So you wait the weekend over and of course you get that clarity and you say yes on Monday. Or there's one other thing that can happen. Yeah, the offer can be taken back. And you're just thinking, well, I just missed the opportunity of a lifetime. They offered me my job that I wanted forever, and now they took it back from me. It fell through. Well, in all reality, the person who took back their commitment from you that they offered, it wasn't the proper commitment for you, and they did you a favor taking back that commitment before you got too deep into it. Imagine that on Friday you would have quit your job and then on Monday they didn't need you anymore, and you instantaneously said yes and you had already quit your job. Think about how awful that would have been if you wouldn't have gotten clarity. If by chance the contract that fell through, if it fell through while you were waiting to get clarity, and you got to be reasonable on timing, guys, for real. If it fell through, it just wasn't meant for you, and there's a better opportunity. Now, this is what is actually happening when you tell a person, let me just get back to you tomorrow or over the weekend, maybe next week I'll get back to you. The person who offered you the invite or the ask for you to do something and you said, yo, wait, the person who asked you was like, oh my God, what am I going to do without them? I got to make this deal more sweet so they actually accept it. So they really want your energy. It's juicy. So if they took back the offer, then the energy that they wanted and what you had to offer wasn't going to be a matchup in the end. And like I said, they did you a favor of taking back the thing that they offered. Okay. Let us put these together. Because that was just a separate example. Let's just say we have... Okay, you are here to respond. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Because I have an open throat. Wide open, no energy attached to it. If I try to initiate a conversation inside a group, people are looking into their purses, checking their phones, going into their pockets, looking off into the sky. Their eyes are glazing over. So when I initiate a conversation, it's awful. People don't respond well. It's terrible. So when I'm in a group conversation, I try not to say anything to start with anymore, unless I'm asked to. So if I'm in a group conversation, and then I usually wait to respond to what people are saying. And if I don't get a chance to like interject, I just don't interject, I guess. Apparently I couldn't not interrupt someone to, get my point through at that particular moment. So I wait to respond now instead of being like, yo, everybody listen to the joke I have. I was never a comedian, but that was just an experience or an example. Okay, so you are in a group and you've initiated conversation and you feel so offended that nobody's listening to you. Ugh. It has nothing to do with the fact of people being around you not wanting to listen. It's just that you initiated a conversation, and that's what manifestors do. They initiate. We are generators. We are here to respond to life. So let's just say, let's give another example of this center, and then I'm going to go to some real life experiences of that. You are in a room, we're in a party. And it's funny because it's always seemed as if all eyes were on us. And that's not being said in an egotistical way. All eyes were on us. And this is where it comes from. We have an open throat. You are seen whether you want to be seen or not. So you will remember back in our days when we used to party. Never was a drinker, always was a smoker. So I would never have a drink in my hand. And people would be like, are you okay? The hospitality that you're receiving, is it good enough? How are you feeling right now? Do you need someone to talk to because you don't have a drink in your hand? So if people saw me without a drink, they'd make sure that I'd have a drink in my hands. As an adult now, whenever I go to a party, I make sure I grab a red Solo cup and fill it with water so that people don't feel the need to accommodate that experience, the pressure of that. And I'm sure that you would feel the same, is that if you weren't particularly accommodated in the situation and weren't vocalizing, people would recognize that you weren't being accommodated and would accommodate you in some form in a gathering. What's also interesting about this particular throat zone is that, yeah, people aren't going to listen to us. So no words are 1,000 words. But let's just say that we are sitting in a group of people, chit chat's going on, and then C is like, well, what do you think about it, Bestie? And then all eyes go on you. That's how much power that this throat has, is that a whole room will shut up and listen to you in like scenarios like this. So we are talking about the throat. And the reason why we're talking about the throat is because my bestie has experienced some painful situations here. Let's talk about them. I remember that one time where we went camping in the place that starts with M. And I believe somebody asked you to organize that. And you responded to doing it. Now, it turned out very beautiful, very exciting. There was a couple of situations where we went camping and it was so exciting. But I'm wondering, Bestie, you know those times where you planned parties? I wondered if you tried to initiate those parties like without something to respond to. I just want to get everybody together. I wonder if that was the thought behind it. Because unfortunately, that's not enough for us to have a reason to initiate. It's very painful for her to plan a party and no one show up. So I'm just wondering if that has been an experience when you plan those parties. Was it initiated by you, or were you responding to a particular experience? Okay. I also wonder if maybe when you tried to initiate those camping experiences that unfortunately fell through, I wonder if you did that out of excitement. Or you did it out of frustration because, it's just been so damn long since I saw my friends. I'm just so sick and tired of blah, blah, blah. And so I'm wondering if some of those were planned out of emotional experiences. I'm truly curious. It'd be interesting to have this conversation with you offline. Let's talk about how your two-step choice mechanism works together. You are here to respond with your and get clarity with that. Oh, another way to explain clarity is leaving room, like time between the original ask and the final answer. So you just need time between your responses. So we were talking earlier how the triple split made you a non-instantaneous person. This is actually the second part in your chart here, being a solar plexus, that made you a non-instantaneous person as well. So you're not an instantaneous person. It actually goes in two different places in your chart. And of course, we could find different places in your chart where it tells you to slow down and wait to make decisions, gain clarity. Gaining clarity over time when you respond. Now, the only way that I can really explain this for you is out of personal experience. I have a lot of shiny, frilly things coming my way. Ooh, I want to do that. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh. So, like, I end up writing down a lot of the things that I want to do in life. I responded, ooh, I love it. I like that idea. Like, ooh, I'm gonna wanna. So I write them down. Like I said, I have a lot of lists. You know I have a lot of lists. When I'm sitting there bored, I go to my lists and I go through them and literally go one by one until I respond, to doing one. So what I do is I write things down because I've responded to them. It doesn't mean that I initiate them immediately. Nope. It's you got to get clarity about what you actually want to do. So I believe that you have a list where you do big tasks. And I bet you go down that list as well. And you're like, oh, I finally have the energy to do it. So, like we were saying earlier, you are gaining the proper energy and accumulation of timing that you needed in order to get things done. You gained clarity, and now you know when, how much energy you will be able to be able to get the to be able to commit to the things that you want to commit to. So you go through. I believe that you do the list trick as well. You know that you have to do these things to your house, but then you go down the list and you eventually respond with clarity that, oh, now it's time to do it. We're going to talk about two more different things. I'm actually going to stop the um, education of how you say your yes and no right now. We're going to go into your profile and your not self theme. This is brain candy again. And then we're going to finish off with summing it all up. Your profile. This is your character on the stage of life. It just happens to be that you and I are both a 4-6. So you are a networker role model. You are an opportunist. What are you a role model of? The thing that you are here to respond to, that you got clarity of. So what's interesting is about our particular energy with this profile, and I kind of laugh, but it's not funny. But because we are here to have opportunities, if you burn us, fuck you, I'm never going to talk to you again. And so people come and go in and out of our life, and we're okay with it. A lot of people have emotional attachments to these experiences. But for you and I, people can come and go out of our life, and it wouldn't feel as detrimental to us as it would to the other, because it's just a part of our network. We know that we will always have a network. Our network is very important to us, and if you've burned us, fuck you. Quite interesting. But what I want to say about this is that in order for your profile and your incarnation cross to like be true, you have to start saying your yes and no for your energy. What do I even mean by this? Let's just say that you are on the stage of life, you are on a Broadway, and you are playing a character that is 6 foot, but you are given the costume of a person who is 4 foot. Fitting into that costume would be very uncomfortable. It would not be fun. It would almost be impossible. And that's what changing ourselves is that we are trying to fit into that 4 foot costume. So we are going to feel not ourselves. We're not going to possibly love ourselves or feel comfortable inside of our body until we really start to follow our strategy and authority, or our yes and no. And that's from personal experience. Girl, you've known me since what, grade 9, grade 10? And I always felt beautiful, but I always felt gross inside my body. Emotionally gross. I didn't like my body. Even though I felt beautiful, I didn't love myself. And it was actually through following my strategy and authority that I found a way to love myself. And you saw me at that picture of all of our besties standing in front of that restaurant. That was the biggest I ever was, and I found a way to love myself at my biggest where I hated myself at my smallest. So it was quite the leap of emotions where, my brain finally caught up with my body, because we've talked about that over the years. And it's because my yes and no were finally leading me into a place of self-acceptance, self-love, just peace and joy and satisfaction, instead of hating everything about myself. So I believe that this is where a person becomes more physically comfortable instead of emotionally comfortable, in my opinion. There's so much for a person to know about their profile. There's so much to know about the profile. I literally just skimmed it. The second thing that we were going to talk about was frustration, the not self theme. So if your body said, do it, and you got clarity to still, and do it, and you didn't, that's a not self. You're doing the opposite of what your body's telling you to do. The not self brings you away from your purpose. Every time you do the opposite of what your body tells you to do, you're taking a step away from flowing in your purpose. Frustration is a key indicator of something needs to change in your life. Now, we said that you doing stuff out of emotion is not a really good place for you to do things. You need to get clarity. So frustration is a key indicator that something needs to change. It doesn't mean you need to start something or stop something, like jump in or quit. It just says that something needs to change. It is up for you to respond with clarity over time how that needs to change or how that needs to happen. So I'm going to ask you, where are you frustrated in life? One of her biggest frustrations in life was just settled. So where are you frustrated in life? What's got you frustrated? I know your sister-in-law frustrates you. Maybe I frustrate you. Maybe what frustrates in your life? I probably said that wrong. What needs to change, right? What needs to happen? Now, I do want to say that just because a person can enter into a contract correctly, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything will always be satisfying or perfect. When frustration starts to pop up, frustration is indicating that something needs to change. So, once again, just because you entered into a contract correctly for your energy, frustration is just a key indicator that something needs to change. We are going to sum everything up, Bestie. You are a generator. You are here to respond with clarity. So you are here to say and and gain clarity of what that means for you over time to see if you have the life force energy to partake in this venture or not. And when you do decide to flow through your and follow that, you're naturally allowing your purpose to flow through you. You don't have to get your brain involved. You don't have to say, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, I need to, I have to. All you gotta do is respond and get clarity, and you allow your purpose to flow through you. Your next steps in life are just through responding with clarity. And that is your human design basic overview reading.